now it's basically virtually certain that 2024 will become the warmest year on record. Our record goes back to 1940, but it's quite possible that this record stands on a much longer time series. And 2024 not only will be, likely with the warmest on record, but will also be the first calendar year above the psychologically important threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial. I call it psychological because it's something that has been agreed not only among scientists, but between scientists and policymakers and society and nations to use as a reference point. So the fact that even if not in the terms of the Paris Agreement, we have reached that threshold for an annual, for a calendar year, well, I think is important because it's a benchmark with respect to that global discussion. It will be very hard to see this long sequence of record-breaking temperature that we have seen over the last few months and years without taking into account the constant increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. And we do know very well, we have been knowing that for the last 200 years nearly, that these gases trap the energy in the atmosphere and so rise the temperature. And it wouldn't be impossible to justify the record that we've seen or we are about to see this year without taking this concentration into account. The kind of event we have seen in Valencia last week have happened several times in history. So it's not the climate change generate this event. Tropical cyclones have been there throughout history and they have not been made by climate change. But there is very strong evidence suggesting that many of these extreme events have become more intense because of climate change. And there is a good understanding of why. So by increasing the temperature of the atmosphere, we allow the atmosphere to hold more water vapor. This water vapor becomes fuel for this convective system and becomes rain that can be more torrential, more intense than ever before. If you look back at the ozone hole, we managed to get together as a global community and find a solution. Now the problem is incredibly more complex, has to do with our economic model, has to do with our way of using resources. And inevitably, this means much more complex conversation. But despite this being complex, this multilateral negotiation and discussion is the mechanism we have to find a global solution.